Wendy's Rescue, and we're going to talk about potbelly pigs, teacup pigs, misconceptions about potbelly pigs, and all of that. But we're sitting out here in the rain. It's a little chilly, so we're kind of bundled up, and we have a little potbelly pig here. So Janice is going to tell you a little bit about him and his story, and just get started.
Thank you, Jamie. This is Dan, and Dan is part of a family of 7 that a actually very nice woman who was a foster mom for Clark County always wanted a pig, and we're going to talk about what happens. She got a little pig, which she of course thought was going to be a mini pig, teacup pig, micro pig, all the stinking names that there are, and ironically somehow she ended up with a male pig on her property, and doggone it, I know it's hard to believe, but here came 6 piglets and 5 of them died. 1 survived, she gave it away. Unbelievable. She got pregnant again. Well, the father became super aggressive. So they gave, can we have some more Cheerios? Thank you, Gina. They gave the father away to someone in Pahrump, which terrifies me because you know he's probably still breeding. And then kept the mother, and she had 7 piglets and they all lived. 1 female and 7 males. Now, honestly, anyone watching this, if you know where the first 3 piglets went, I would love to know, because I assure you they're probably not spayed or neutered. I went with the director of my rescue, Shannon. We went to her house with his truck and some crates, and for 80 bucks she gave us all 4. All 4 males, and there's a story behind these guys because they're striped, and that's feral. There's no way around it. Ferals have finally made it to Nevada. Thankfully, he's not a full-blood feral, but he does have feral in him, and they can get up to 500 pounds. So, people, please stop buying piglets on Craigslist, because you do not know what you're getting. And if you do, you have to spay and neuter this pig, and the sooner you do it, the cheaper it is, and the easier it is on the animal. So Dan wants to go back with his 3 brothers, so we're going to let Dan, but I just wanted you to see. This was a teacup pig. Huh. Oh, Dan, Dan.
I'm not a movie star.
Okay, so one of the reasons I really wanted to do this video is because, as you guys who do know me know, pigs are near and dear to my heart. My beloved Cinderella and Bella Bacon and Curly Q are just the sunshine in my days, and I wanted to talk a little bit about it because I get a lot of feedback from you guys out there on wanting to get a teacup pig, and I want you guys to know that there is no such thing as a teacup pig. And I wanted Janice, obviously owning a rescue and seeing just the epidemic that potbelly pigs have become, I want her to really talk a little bit about that, and I want to give you guys some information on what potbelly pigs are really about and how much you really need to know about them before you just go out and adopt a potbelly pig. So tell me like a little bit about some of the pigs that you have here at the rescue. How many pigs do you have here at the rescue?
Several. We don't put numbers on things because they can come back to you.
Oh yeah.
Unfortunately, our government, people do this when you talk about rescue and how many animals are being euthanized at the shelters, and trust me, pigs are being euthanized. Nobody wants to talk about it. It's that dirty secret that you keep, behind the closed door. So, very careful not to give out the address, not to talk about exact numbers. There's just, mean people in the world. I will tell you, Jamie, that anybody that wants a teacup pig, they're at Target. You can get them in the toy aisle. That is the only teacup pig on the planet that's going to stay this size. Now, trust me, we've had issues on Facebook and whatever, all those other things of social media, where there are folks that really get upset with us rescues that tell us that you can keep a pig 35 pounds and it's meant to be that way, and we've bred them that way. Well, if we have, shame on us, because we shouldn't have. Pigs were never meant to be 35 pounds. A child is born 6 or 8 or 10 pounds, and then an adult man is 240 pounds. It's just, pigs are so much like human beings, it's frightening. They are more like us than any other creature born to this planet. They've done heart transplants, the valves, there's so many, the similarities between humans and pigs go beyond what most folks understand. Now, Vietnam, I'm to understand, started to try and breed down a smaller pig for their food supply because the tiny country and the small plots of land that they had. And you gotta love Americans. We want to make a pet out of anything and everything we can get our hands on. Even before your time, pet rocks from when I was a kid. I mean, we will make anything a pet. And in doing that, they have exploited these potbelly pigs. Paris Hilton, who I believe still has her pig, probably looks more like Peppermint Patty than it did the day she took it down the runway in her purse. But she really, I hope that she does good things for pigs now because she's not been a friend of ours. That phenomenon set young girls that thought Paris is a role model to want to get these tiny pigs with the belief that they were going to stay small. All you got to do is Google it. There's a lot of information out there. They do not stay small. If you keep a pig 35 to 40 pounds, you are stunting it, you are injuring it, you're hurting its organs, and you're going to end up with a lot of issues on your hands. You talk to folks that buy specialty breed dogs, and they end up spending thousands and thousands of dollars to keep them alive as they get older because they have problems. So there is no such thing as a teacup pig, and again, shame on anyone who is trying to do that because there's no need for it.
I just want to say with Cinderella, who lives in my house, who's now 102 pounds on a good day.
Not around the holidays.
Right, not around the holidays when I make extra baking goods and but she's beautiful and she's the light of my life, and she's so much my daughter and my baby that I can't imagine my life without her. But before I got Cinderella, I really didn't know much about potbelly pigs at all, and I got her from a breeder online who claimed that she was a teacup pig. I paid $2,500 for Cinderella, and I had her flown here to Vegas, and obviously she grew up like all pigs should, and feeding her properly and keeping her healthy and happy has been my purpose in life since she came to be. But Cinderella, I had no idea what I was getting into when I got a potbelly pig. I really didn't. I didn't know how intelligent they were. I didn't know how emotional they are. I didn't realize how much it takes to keep a pig, and she's amazing. She's an amazing little being, and she bosses me around daily.
It's like having 4 2-year-olds.
It really is. It's very much
pig.
like having a toddler running around that you have to take care of and be on time for, and she likes her schedules and her routine, and it's very, very different than what I thought it was going to be like. And obviously she's 102 pounds, and I wouldn't trade her for the world. But I want you to understand that I bought her assuming she was going to be this little teacup pig. And that's part of the problem that we see right now with potbelly pigs is people go out thinking they're going to have this teacup pig, and when they start to get big, they think, well, I can't keep this 100-pound animal in my house anymore, and they end up at places like Wendy's Rescue. So I want to talk a little bit about that, and just ask Janice some questions so she's the expert at this point, so she can give you guys a little bit of insight as to what potbelly pigs really require if you are to go out and adopt a pig. So tell me a little bit about what potbelly pigs eat. What people always think, do they eat dog food? What do they eat?
Yes.
I know.
Yes, they do.
I do that too when
They'll
people
eat
ask
anything
me. But
you put in front of them. Let me just say, Jamie, how important it is what you just said. And this is where I get into struggles with other rescues. I am not the keeper of all pigs. If a person wants to buy a pig from a breeder who is reputable, and they do their homework, and it's someone that has maybe 2 really nice, healthy potbelly pigs that are docile, that have a great nature, and there are folks that want them, and then you get 6 people that decide they want a pig, and then you breed that pair, knowing that the homes are already there. I cannot tell you can't do that. There are rescues online that just want to shut down every single breeder. Well, eventually through attrition, there will be no more animals.
Right.
I can't tell you that you can't want a pig. Now, $2,500 makes me want to fall on the floor. You know, because I spent $500 to vet them, and I'm lucky if I get $100 or $200 for. I'm not in it to make money. I'm in it to make sure that animals that are dumped end up back in a loving home. So that being said, just know what Jamie said, that if you decide you want to buy a pig and you're not a rescue person or whatever your issues are in life that I may not agree with, but I don't want you to down me, I'm not gonna down you. We can agree that they're not gonna stay 10 pounds, 20 pounds, 30 pounds, 40 pounds, 50 pounds. So I wanna be clear on that. Now, we're here talking about it. I live this every single day because I prefer, now that they have been overbred and there are just thousands that are dumped, that we rescue before we purchase. And if you breed, you must rescue. That's a phrase that my sister in South Carolina that works with Dogs Deserve Better, getting dogs off of chains. They build enclosures. She coined that a long time ago, that if you're going to breed, you have to rescue. And we have something we're working on in Clark County, a 5-star gold, 5-star, what is it?
5-star navigator charity?
No, it's the local thing we want to do for rescues here in Nevada, and one of them is, not rescues, I'm sorry, breeders, if you breed, you must take back your animal when the person doesn't want it anymore.
Okay.
And then you'll see how quickly a breeder is going to turn into a rescue.
Right.
They don't. They don't take, they'll say that they do, trust me. I know that the pig breeders certainly aren't taking their animals back because I'm getting them. So you get a pig, and what do you do now? They have to eat a special diet, and it's called, here in town, it's called Missouri. And in your neck of the woods, if you're in other states, you just have to Google it. But potbelly pigs have a very certain type of pig chow that they should eat. Please do not feed your pig dog food. We just rescued boy, she's got to be almost 250 pounds out of Pahrump, that when the house sold, the people left and they left their pig behind. And the new gal that bought the house had big dogs, and they didn't like the pig, and the pig didn't like them, and we know how that story can end. And when she put the pictures of the pig on Craigslist, there was this enormous rectangle box that literally was full of dog food. And again, it's just education. People don't know any better. And the pigs will eat it because the pig will eat anything that you put in front of them. So there's a special pig chow, grass, hay, timothy, pellets, low fat, low protein, and as much fresh, clean water as you can put in front of them 24 hours a day. They always have to have fresh water. Pigs are funny. Some eat and drink and eat and drink and make a big old mess, and then you've got the little prissy pigs that will just eat all of their food and then have something to drink. Female potbelly should always have cranberry juice at least once a week, once every other week. There's a debate about vitamins and vitamin C and how much you should give them. Do the research, because all the information is there online. There's a couple of great websites from folks, I want to say that they're in California, and you can get that on my website too. Their links are on there. A wealth of knowledge. These women have been doing this for 20 years. You can't believe how long they've been around, but they really exploded. And again, I hate to bring up her name again, but when that gal walked down the runway with that little piglet, it started the wheels in motion going in the wrong direction. And then Jamie talked about their natural habitat. They've got to have dirt. They've got to have a yard. They've got to root. When they're infants, when they're babies, they get minerals and nutrients out of the dirt. So if you don't have a yard, you got to get them a dirt box. But our suggestion is always, without a yard, you really shouldn't have a pig.
Right. One thing I wanted to talk about too is if you were to go out and adopt a pig or purchase a pig, if that's what somebody does, what kind of things can you do in your home to just, create positive outlets, because they are so smart. And I know with Cinderella, when I first got her, there were things that I would come home to her doing, and I'm just like, oh my God, like, she's not doing that, or, ripping apart things, rooting, things that, because I didn't know what her natural tendencies were. I didn't know how to channel that energy into something positive that, allows her to still be a pig and do what she naturally needs to do. So obviously now I know that, but I want you to kind of tell viewers at home like how they could do that and channel their energy into a positive direction.
Well, I can't stress enough how important having a real yard with dirt and fun things for them to do. For the time that they have to stay in your house, they're just like kids, like we talked about, and they need toys. And some of them are very mouthy, and they'll tear up a couch cushion. They love to tear up sheets. They love to tear up blankets. And there's that age-old debate. Well, do I give it something that is old to let them do it? Is that perpetuating the bad behavior? Should I just take it away? You're never going to win with a pig. A pig is going to outsmart you every day of the week.
Every time.
That's just the nature of a pig. So you'll find with your own personal pig what it is that he or she likes, whether it is toys, whether it's a rooting box. They sell a lot of things now online too. There's something called a busy ball that you can even make at home that you drill holes into, and you can put Cheerios or you can put some of their pig pellets, and they'll just push it around. And the great thing is, as you know, they love to sleep. I mean, you give them a warm blanket and throw them down with the Animal Planet channel and they're done. I mean, they will sleep for 4 or 5 hours. So again, it's kind of like having a little kid, and you find out what they like. They like to tear up old phone books, if they even make those anymore. I don't even know if they do, but magazines. But how much of a mess do you want to clean up? And if you have an area, like if you keep them in your laundry area or something when you're making supper. I had to install another door in the house so that I can actually cook. Because they are jumping up. You know, I have 6 right now that are in and out of the doggy door. And so they will teach you what you need to do.
So, do potbelly pigs get along well with other animals? Say they're coming into a home with dogs or children. Do they get along well with them? I mean,
all depends on the pig. Some pigs are horrible with dogs. And when I say that, I mean that they'll swipe at them and they'll bite them. Now, your average dog hopefully will retreat, not want anything to do with it. But you've got a dog, like we had a dog here in town not that long ago that had been with a young child for the whole time since it was born. Something went wrong and that dog bit that child and that child died. That happens with pigs. You get, a pig their hooves are incredibly sharp when they're small. And when they get to be Dan's size, which is probably 35 pounds, they step on your toe, you feel that.
Yeah.
And a dog is the same way. But unlike us, we're going to scream and jump back. Sometimes a dog will lunge forward and bite, and now you're full blown. Jamie knows because when she adopted Curly and Bella could have been on WWF.
Oh, and they're back to it,
and so there are some that just don't get along. Now, like I said, I've got 6 in the house and they're great together. I've got several in the back that are great together, but then you see I have Astrid, she's penned up because she won't back down. And when you've got an alpha already out there, that the other pig has no choice, they have to back down, and you know the fights, Jamie.
The fights are
bloody ears,
brutal.
bloody faces, they bite each other's arms, a pig that is savvy to it, they'll charge each other on the side and they can actually paralyze them for a short time. And it's scary, horrifying and scary stuff. And then another, I bet, Bill, that you don't need. So introduction, go online, do the research. It's called fence fighting. You let them fight with each other through the fence. You feed them closer and closer and closer, and then one day you hope. Cold weather will make pigs friendly because they're little heating pads and they like to sleep together. But they're social creatures, and I've always said if you're going to adopt one, you probably should adopt 2. And when they're young, you get them together, they will bond for life, and you won't even be able to separate them.
Tell me, how big is the average potbelly pig? I mean, how big can a potbelly get?
Just my opinion. A healthy potbelly pig is anywhere from 85 to 140. And you saw Beyonce and Andrew Jackson, my 2 partners in crime in the backyard, who have broken into many sheds, broken through many doors, eaten entire bags of cat food, eaten entire bags of chicken feed, and Beyonce tips the scale, I'm sure, at 200 pounds. It is not fun. It's a lot of Tums and walking and cranberry juice to push all that through her. But it's hard to get weight off of a pig.
It really is.
You got to walk, a lot of walking and the diet, and they can get really noisy and they can get really miserable. But 100, 110 pounds is good size for a healthy potbelly pig.
what's the average lifespan of a potbelly pig? Like if somebody were to adopt one, or say, you know, they're going to bring one into their family, how long can they expect to have that commitment of having a potbelly pig?
13 to 15 years seems to be the average lifespan. They've certainly gone longer than that. They've lived into their 20s, and then, like I said, depending on the breeder and what they've done to get that piglet, they can die before they're 10 years old. So unfortunately, it's kind of like a dog. You know, you get a dog and you hope you're going to have that dog 20 or 25 years, and some live to be 28, and then some end up with issues. And your average, you want to be ready to commit to 15 years.
Well, one thing that I wanted to ask you, because I know obviously what I think my favorite qualities of pigs are, but I want to ask you, what is your favorite thing about pigs? Like, what just makes you love pigs as much as you do?
The butt rub.
Yeah.
The butt scratch.
Did you love that?
The butt rub. When that little tail just starts to go up, and then they lift one of their legs a little bit,
Yeah.
their little face, and then the mohawk goes up. Yeah, it makes me teary-eyed.
I know. I love it too. In your opinion, what is the most challenging aspect of having potbelly pigs?
That's individual on the pigs. I got little Dan, who you just met in my lap. Come here at 6 o'clock in the morning and bring your shooting earmuffs, because he's a screamer.
That's really cute.
Oh my stars. I've tried just about everything under the sun, and it isn't easy to break them of a bad habit.
Right.
And so that can be challenging. And for me, to make sure that I can keep all my animals and keep them healthy, I have a really busy full-time job. I work a lot of hours, and it's just hard to devote the individual attention. So hopefully folks getting one, don't let me shy you away. Yeah, it's because there's so many here, and as you know, I have more than pigs.
Right.
Mainly only because of friends of friends, I'll take other animals, but my main focus right now is pigs. So challenging is how intelligent they are.
Right.
But you love them for how intelligent they are. So
Right.
they're always going to be a two-headed coin, because
Yeah.
the things that make you mad will make you laugh about them too.
Right. So for somebody getting a potbelly pig, are there special requirements for like bedding? Is there special fence requirements for their yard and keeping them in certain areas? You know, if you have a yard where they're not allowed in certain areas, I mean, because they can kind of blow through certain kinds of fences.
Oh gosh. They can get
So-
through. They can get through almost anything, except for pig fencing. And you just have to go to your local feed store. Some hardware stores, depending on your town, will know what you're talking about with pig fencing. And then you bang your posts into the ground with wire. You tie the fence down, and that pretty much will keep them in an area. But, you know, they learn so quickly. You make them a spot, and if they're going to sleep outside, they've got to have an insulated house with lots of blankets and, you know, whatever it is that they grew up with, that they're comfortable with, and they will respect it after a while. And be very careful with swimming pools. Again, just like a 2-year-old, you want to have a fence around that a pig can't get through, because they may see something at the bottom of the pool that looks like a donut, and you're they're going to jump in. As far as, they have to have vet care. They need shots. There are shots that they need for upper respiratory. We also give them tetanus shots in case, God forbid, they bite someone. If you can prove that they've had a tetanus shot, most animal control will not quarantine them. You'll get to keep them, because they're not going to transmit. And that's another thing. Pigs don't have diseases, that ridiculous swine flu,
Right.
because of the symbols, that whatever that was all about. No one gets sick from pigs. They don't. And one of the best things for me about pigs, their poop doesn't stink. It isn't sticky. It's not sticky like dog food, because dogs are a meat-based diet and they don't bark. So there's a lot of benefits to
They
having.
might scream at you, but they don't bark.
And they scream at you. But you know, when I'm not here, there's not a peep.
Right.
They see you and they think food and they think love and they think attention and affection, and that's what they're hollering for. If there's no one here, not to badmouth Shannon, but those boxers of his, on any given day I want to go over there with a pillow and put it in their face, because for no good reason. There's a bird. Oh, look, there's a bird in the tree. We're going to bark for an hour and a half.
So funny.
Not pigs though.
So one other thing with potbelly pigs that I was gonna say is, because I do get that comment a lot, is don't they smell? I mean, aren't they dirty? Like, I can't believe you have a pig that lives in your house. I have to say, I mean, Cinderella is so clean. She's cleaner than my 5 dogs, and even my girls, my Bella and Curly that live outside, they're very clean. Pigs generally are dirty because they're trying to keep cool and they want to get in the muddy water and play and root, and, like, you know, pigs, unfortunately, I think the pigs that are, you know, stereotyped into being dirty or smelling, it's unfortunately, I think, you know, part of their environment and where they're at and how they're taken care of. But Cinderella's very, very clean. She goes out the doggy door just like my dogs. She was trained in less than a day. I mean, she's never gone potty in my house, not once.
They innately know to go outside. The stereotype of pig smelling, and we have a hog farm here just down the street in North Las Vegas. It is the slop. They take the waste from the casinos and they boil it out there. That doesn't smell very good. And then when you feed pigs a meat-based diet, which Lord knows what's coming out of those casinos that they boil and feed to those pigs, then their feces looks much like human feces. And I don't know too many folks that like the bathroom when someone has gone number 2. So our pigs, potbelly pigs, your pigs, if you get a potbelly pig, they eat a vegetable diet. They're vegan by nature, and their poop is just pellets that you can pick up and toss. There's no odor to it. That's another wonderful thing. And to speak to the cleanness about potbelly pigs, because they really are super clean. There are some, you know, there are mud potbellies and then there's water potbellies. Potbellies that just want to have a swimming pool, that don't really even want to get dirty. And I've had some of
Cinderella.
those pigs. Yeah, she'd rather just get wet and then go and be cool on the concrete or on your tile floor somewhere. But believe me, I got some muddy potbelly pigs back there too.
Well, Bella and Curly like to get a little muddy when it's hot. They live in
Disco, who's white, he's our best walkathon pig. We take Disco to all of our walkathon. He even won a costume contest once. He is white, and trust me, in the summer, not a stitch.
Really?
Not a stitch of white hair to be found. He will coat himself. He looks like the ice cream, the vanilla that you dip into the chocolate. He just will coat himself.
What about in the heat of summer or in the cold of winter? Are there special requirements for a potbelly pig, especially if they live outside and don't get brought inside?
You know, they are so adaptable. And my sister, whose potbelly just passed away back in Rhode Island, that pig lived better than I did. I mean, he had an entire small house with a heater and an air conditioner and tons of fresh straw and shavings, a radio. So in the East Coast, again, do your research, go and see a pig rescue, because they're in every state in America. In the deadly winters that they're having back there, you've got to provide heat for your pig. I've got one pig that's about 13 years old. He's my only pig with a heater, but he has a heater in his house. The rest, lots of shavings base, straw on top, and then blankets. And they have each other, which they keep warm. And in the summer out here, you know, we're stuck. We have like a week usually around the 4th of July that worries me, where it gets to be 120 degrees, and I've put big fans out there for them. But you've got to have that non-stop fresh water. The water bill here in the summertime is astronomical, but it has to be, because they've got to have the fresh water and the mud. They don't sweat. It's their little nose is their only spot, and that's not enough. But
and the shade, right? Because obviously potbellies are one of the only animals, I guess, that sunburn, right?
Yeah, hairless horses do too, they say.
Right.
Yeah, and potbellies can burn badly. I mean, severe burn. So slather on your sunscreen, and they have to have shade. Yeah. I cringe to think about the animals.
I know.
Without
Me too. So is there anything else that you can think of that we should make sure that people get from this talk about potbelly pigs? And
I think of 20 things when you leave. The beauty is Google.
Right.
I mean, it's all out there.
Unfortunately, I think people Google and then they're finding the breeders with the teacup pigs, and all of the misconceptions that unfortunately.
you know, we do things like this. You and I talk, and I try to talk to. I've said this about all animals. We've lost the older generation. You've lost my generation. I think even the 20-somethings are gone. They just don't get it.
Right.
They don't get, I've said it time and time again, San Francisco, 5 o'clock, while people were having supper, took a beautiful cat with her 5 kittens and euthanized it. All of it, on TV. And that sent San Francisco crazy. They went nuts. And then, you know what happened? San Francisco doesn't have the problems that we have. And I'm telling you, if we did that here in Las Vegas, and you reach the folks that don't want to know about it, you know, that's what everybody says, I don't want to know. You put those videos on Facebook and I don't want to see it. I don't look at a lot of it because I've seen too much of it already. But until we get through to the children, in the elementary schools and in the junior high schools, I've got 2, Brianna and Tiffany, who volunteer here with me, that are incredible ambassadors for the pigs and all animals. We've got to stop breeding. We just have to do it. I knew I was going to make you sad.
She always makes me cry.
I didn't mean to. And every time I tell that story about euthanizing those cats, I get like that, and I think, I've told it so many times, I don't know why it gets to me, but it's, you know, I'm upset more for the people that don't want to know what's happening right down the street on Mojave. Just, folks, go to your local animal shelter one day. You got to go to your city shelter where they're governed by law. They have to take anything that comes through the door. And sit there for an hour. And watch the people that come through with cats, with dogs, with pigs, with anything that they just don't want anymore. It reminds me of the city dump, that you just think, I don't want this anymore. I've heard every reason. And this is on my website. I've heard, you know, I'm divorced, or my boyfriend doesn't want to let me have it, or my girlfriend thinks that, you know, pigs are ugly. Whatever the reasons are, I've heard them all. And you know what? You should have realized that before you made the commitment to bring that animal into your family, because they don't understand it. So, what I will always try to impart on everyone is find some children and talk to them and teach them that they have to spay and neuter, and that they have to be responsible, and that it's a lifetime commitment.
Thank you, Janice.
You're so welcome. Thank you for doing this. We need more folks talking about it, and then hopefully it starts to, like dominoes, and get to people that otherwise wouldn't, they don't care to listen.
Well, for any of you who would like to donate, you can donate, make tax-deductible donations to wendy's.org. And we're going to post that at the end of this video too, so that you guys can click on that and go to the website and make tax-deductible donations. Also, any kind of feed, hay, Missouri potbelly pig food, any of that kind of stuff is always needed at Wendy's Rescue. So, thank you guys.
Hey Jamie, I wanted to thank you very much for this opportunity, and I know that you're certainly nationwide and you're probably international, whether you know it or not. And so, this is my friend Gina, and Gina volunteers at Heaven Can Wait Animal Society here in Las Vegas. And I've said it before, they're single-handedly bringing down the number of euthanasia in this town. They do pit bulls and chihuahuas nonstop. They do 400 cats on the weekend. Would you just talk for a minute about Heaven Can Wait and what they're doing?
Heaven Can Wait is based, pretty much our primary purpose is spay and neuter. We try to target the low income people that can't afford it. When we started back in 2000, there was over 35,000 animals being killed in the shelters here in Vegas. I think the numbers this year is 22,700, and the last big decline was in the last 2 or 3 years. And I think that has a lot to do with, we finally, after I think it was 6 or 7 years, we got our spay and neuter clinic open. And it's really, you know, what we do is the feral cat clinics. It's an all volunteer based. It's pretty much called WAR. It's War on Reproduction. And Harold Vasco, Judy Erickson, I mean, there's a number of people that have been working on this for so many years, and going out and literally going door to door, handing out flyers, knocking on doors, trying to get these people to bring in their animals. And, you know, like the feral cat clinic, all the volunteers that come in, like the veterinarians, the vet techs, the trappers that are out till 4 o'clock in the morning trapping all the animals. I remember one time they did a clinic and it was like 400 animals they did in 3 hours. And that's spay, neuter, vaccinate, ear tip. And, you know, like for me, I have a special place in my heart for the trappers that they're out all night, they trap the animals. then they're there at 7 o'clock in the morning dropping them off. Then they're staying through the clinic all day, and they're recovering all the animals while, you know, everybody, it takes a team effort to do everything. But, you know, and then they bring the cats home, and that night they have to make sure that they're doing all well, that they're sternal and they're eating and drinking water before they go to sleep after like a 24-hour period. And then they have to get up the next morning at 6 or 7 o'clock in the morning and release these animals to the same environment, but to the safe environment. And it's amazing to me. It's a 48-hour process. I think that most people don't realize that just the trappers alone put in. And then, you know, it's been a while since I've been to the feral cat clinic because it's insane, and there's so many volunteers, which it's amazing. But we have so many kids there now, so many young adults that are learning their passion, what you were talking about, but their passion to have these animals spayed, neutered, and fixed. Because, I mean, you were talking about the Chihuahuas, and you're talking about the pit bulls, and how they're overrun, and it's sad to go down to LEAD or the Animal Foundation, whatever they want to call themselves, and it's sad to go down to the Henderson shelter, and it's kennel after kennel after kennel at the same pitiful look, and it's just, you know, what are you going to do? The only way to get out of this is to spay and neuter. You know, you can't adopt our ways out of this situation.
And educate. It's
And
education. And when Gina talks about the low-income neighborhoods that they're going into, that's what you see. You see all the Chihuahuas and the pit bulls running around, and they're all intact, and no one is any wiser. It doesn't matter if you don't like cats. That doesn't make the problem go away. We have to deal with this. I have to thank our elected officials for passing spay and neuter, mandatory spay and neuter laws, and passing feral cat ordinances. My street that I'm on has Keith Williams, him and his wife Debbie, that take care of all of the feral cat colonies in this town. In North Las Vegas, Mayor John Lee better step up and do a feral cat ordinance here in North Las Vegas. Folks, nationwide, you have got to go to your elected officials. When you go to the voting booth, take a look at what's their record. Do they have animals? Do they believe in rescue? Do they support some of it? It's not going to be everything. But we put out here in town animal-friendly candidates. That's what it's called. And I've actually made a symbol that I want to try to get out there nationwide, that a candidate can put on all of their paraphernalia if they truly have shown that they've done something, whether it's volunteering or rescuing or helping change laws. Legislatively, there's so many things that you can do. If you can't foster, if you can't adopt, you can get involved politically, and that's how we're going to make real change. All of those women and young kids and men that you're talking about, they're all going to be there. There's always going to be people like you and I, but the general masses, they just don't, it's just not, I don't want to say that they don't care, because if you tell them about it, they, you know, oh, that's da-da-da-da-da, but then they go on about their lives and nothing really changes. So get to your elected officials, and please give locally. That's what I told Jamie. I wanted to make sure that I mentioned to you. I used to give to best friends out of my paycheck, and you know what? I don't know where that money went. I just don't. But now I know if I give money to Heaven Can Wait, they are spaying and neutering cats and dogs in my town. Find a local rescue, find a local shelter, whatever kind of animal you had growing up or something that you love, there's a rescue for it in your town. Go and support them. They need you. Give locally. That's another so important point that I want to push home. Thanks again for the opportunity. And Gina, thank you.
Thank you guys.
Thanks for everything that you do.
Thanks for everything that you guys do.
Thank you so much. We'll be watching you.
Thank you.